After almost 365 days, the women in blue stepped on the field as South Africa toured India for 5 ODIs first, followed by 3 T20Is. The ODIs are done and dusted. The results didn't go India's favor. 4-1 loss for them. And we are all down to the last match of this tour on the third T20I between India and South Africa. We look ahead to that. But before that, welcome back to the Outside View Live part by Vespa and Aprilia. Let's take a look at the SXR 160.
You're lit.
Don't just live life, maxify it.
Welcome back on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. I have the company of Cowan and Boria Majumdar. India have lost the series 2-0. It's the third T20I, the final T20I. Let's begin with a positive note. The happy news is, of course, that Shafali Verma has been named the #1 batter in the ICC rankings. Yet again, she's back at the top. A good positive to start for in the final T20I, Boria.
Yeah, absolutely. But before I address that question and take that, explain the headgear to me.
So you tried your location change. Claire has done that. South Africa is winning, so I might as well try something. That's the thought process behind that.
Good one. I'm seeing the plans are infectious. I mean, coming to Shafali Verma, what an achievement! At 17, you're the world's #1 batter. Oh, there's no debate that you're a special act. There's no debate that she's supremely talented and is a breath of fresh air in the game. Someone who had to dress up as a man to be able to come up and play the sport today is the world's #1 batter. You need more inspiration to take to the sport. Any woman listening to this broadcast, any girl aspiring to play the sport, Shafali Verma is a clear-cut example what you can do. Absolutely delighted for her. In the second game, she almost set up a platform that could have made a difference to us and won us the game. Make no mistake, she's a rock star. And today I would expect, this news, maybe she can win us the game and close the series. But what an achievement. Tremendous, and many congratulations.
Yeah, she last played in that final of the T20 World Cup 2020 last year, Claire, and to come back in this series, the T20I is 23 in the first T20I, 47 in the second. You reckon there's a bigger score coming forth in the third T20I?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see her go on and get into a really, really big score. And I think I'm saying that more because we just all want to see her bat. She's just so exciting. And it really just puts down, there's no fear of failure when she walks out to the bat. She sees the ball and she hits the ball. And we often say when you bat, you need a clear, clean mindset. There mustn't be sort of anything like, putting bad feelings into your head or sort of limiting you as an individual. You must just go out there and express yourself. And she does that just perfectly. And it's just stunning to watch. It really, really is special to watch. And so congratulations to her and the Indian team and the Indian management. I think it's also important. Player management often is really critical when someone is so young. And I think they're doing that really, really well. She's got a bright future in India. If they can keep her, nurture her, they're going to get a lot of special innings out of her.
Yeah, true that. And coming to the toss news, India have finally won the toss this series. They're opting to chase. So far, it's been the case of teams chasing, winning the match. India have won the toss in the second ODI. India won that game as well. Good choice as far as the toss goes, Boria, because we've seen that it seems that Lucknow, the Ekana Cricket Stadium, favors teams chasing. A win finally for India then?
Yeah, better late than never. The series gone, yes, but it's still a very important game. Every international game, as we said, is important. So we would have absolutely be able to test South Africa. The dew will go against them. Last match, we saw people wiping the ball, makes it difficult. We would also be able to see how good South Africa is when they bat first. So yes, definitely a good toss to win. What is more important again, Sudarshan, is tosses do not win matches. you've got to play well to win a cricket match. Yes, the toss maybe will give you 5% extra advantage, 10% because of the dew and all of it. But you've got to be at the top of your game to beat a resurgent South Africa.
Yeah, South Africa are batting first. Claire, 3 changes. No Mignon du Preez. There's Faye Tunnicliffe. There's Tumi Sekhukhune. There's Nondumiso Shangasse. Something that you predicted last time when we were looking ahead to this match. Interesting changes there, especially the fact that Mignon du Preez is not there. Aibonga Khaka isn't there. So is Mlaba, who misses out. So the thoughts on the change, and you think Faye Tunnicliffe might take the glove?
Well, let's unpack it a little bit. So obviously we see Tumi Sekhukhune come in. I was really happy with her performance in the ODIs. So I'm happy to see her come in terms of the T20s. Ayabonga Kaka has, if I have to be really honest, she has probably been the best seamer we've had in the T20. She's bowled brilliantly. I've been really impressed with her. And you know, again, I've touched on this a few times in different shows. These are not performance drops by any stretch of the imaginations. It's giving opportunities, building experiences, and also working on combinations and seeing how different things work. So really happy to see Sekhukhune come in, and I just love the way she fields as well. Her absolute determination, her intensity, and when she gets a wicket, it's just absolutely fantastic. So that'll be really good to see her come back in. Yes, I thought Mlaba, she probably hasn't been as potent as we would have liked her to be, but not bad performances by any stretch of the imagination. And I think it's fair now to give Shangasse a run, you know, her right hand off break, and let's just see what she does in the Indian conditions, you know, against the Indian batsmen. So happy with that change. Look, Faye Tunnicliffe, she's, you know, she was on tour against Pakistan. I think she only got one opportunity against Pakistan. So absolutely, you know, you've won the series, and it's not a game to throw away by any stretch of the imagination. And the team is still very, very strong. I don't think you've weakened it much. Probably a little bit less experience with no Mignon now. So a lot more will fall on Lara Wolfhard. If we lose a couple of wickets, she's really going to have to come into her own. So I'm almost glad to say, you know, Mignon's played brilliantly in 2 series back to back. You know, it's probably a good idea to give her a little bit of a rest, let her take it easy. You know, we've seen Marizan Cup. She's got, you know, she's had some illness. We've got Trisha Chetty with an injury. Sunay Lis also had a bit of illness in the beginning of the series. So it's important as well to look after your players and not push them when they probably need just to pull back a little bit and rest up. You know, Indian conditions can be harsh when you're not used to them. And there's obviously a little bit of illness going around the camp. So I'm really happy that Mignon's taking a break. She will be missed. Let's call it for what it is. Her experience, her talent, her skill will most definitely be missed in that middle order. But I think it's a great opportunity to do Faye Tunnicliffe. Will she take the gloves is a very, very good question. And I'm not 100% sure of that. I'd probably still prefer, you know, to see Faye in the field, in the outfield versus a Sonala Jafta. You know, Faye Tunnicliffe is a wicketkeeper, but she can be in the outfield, where Sonala Jafta is more of a specialist keeper, not as much experience in the outfield. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what the South African camp will do and if they throw her the gloves. I think it might be a good idea to sort of get her in the outfield, let her do her thing in the outfield, and then she can sort of come in and slot in it in the number 5 position, you know, in terms of batting, because she's a very, very good batter, and I'd like to see her do well in this third T20.
Yeah, she played, I think, the final T20 against Pakistan, if I'm not wrong, and she got run out quite early, so that she might be looking to avenge that, I mean, the loss of game time. But coming to you, Boria, there's no Mignon du Preez, there is Tumi Sekhukhune. The energy factor has been kind of compensated. But let's talk about Shabnim Ismail and her fitness, because she's played all the games. She's a pacer. She's played all the games. We've been talking about the fitness over the past few days as well. The thoughts on Shabnim Ismail's presence throughout this series?
You know, she's come hard. I mean, yes, Claire was critical of her a couple of occasions, and rightly so, because of you know, her sort of going on the slightly shorter side to Smriti. Having said that, She has come hard, persisted, and picked up key wickets, picked up Shmiti quite a few times. See, for me, if you take a look at that South African side, yes, they have made changes, but the key players are all there. Whether it is a Sunellis, an Annika Bosch, a Lizelle Lee, a Shabnim Ismail, your key players, your match winners are all there. All there. So it's not an easy side. It is a solid side. And Shabnim has been good because of that extra pace. Even if you think, I mean, these are little things. Think of the last 2 balls of the last match. Extra pace Richa Ghosh wasn't able to put out, and both balls went to the wicketkeeper. She tried a cheeky shot. Now think how many how many balls you lost by last ball. Think of those 2-3 extra runs. So there you understand how impactful they have been. South Africa has been relentless. The intensity has been special. So I would hope India sort of makes it up tonight.
Claire, coming to you on that South African batting yet again, like the middle order, the middle and lower middle order, because that has been one of the key differences if you look at batting between these two sides, that India don't have a powerful finisher, especially in the absence of Harmanpreet Kaur, whereas South Africa have managed to churn out a finisher out of Laura Wolfart, who is often seen at the top order in the ODIs. So it really augurs well for South Africa, and that is one of the weaknesses of Indian side, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we need to be so careful about whether we need, we put too much pressure on the ladies to be these big, powerful hitters. And I think sometimes it's the men's game that sort of sneaks into the women's game. And that's where we tend to kind of want to see these massive sixes being hit. People really sort of bludgeoning the ball to the boundary and going for a six. And yes, we've got a Lizelle Lee who can do that. And Shafali Verma, yes, he can do that. And we've already seen them sort of really bludgeon the ball. But at the same time, you can be an incredibly attacking batswoman with timing, with sort of, finesse and get as good a result, and often maybe with a little bit less risk. And we saw Laura Wolfart do it in the second T20. And you can't say that at any one stage she lost her form or lost technique and just tried to really hit the leather off the ball. She did it with fantastic technique and correct timing, and look at what the result came for her. I think her strike rate was 140 or 150. I'd have to go and double check. But she was as attacking, and she's scoring as quickly as she needs to. Mignon du Preez is another batswoman that also isn't huge. She doesn't sort of smash the ball hard. She uses the timing, she uses the pace. She's very aware of the field placing and where she can get her boundaries. Or if her partner is batting really well and is being very attacking, how can she get her partner back on strike who's hitting it clean? And that's another thing we tend to forget. It's just because you're sitting on the other end doesn't mean you have to be, hitting every single ball to the boundary. If you're playing with a Lizelle Lee or you're playing with a Laura Wolfart who's hitting the ball so cleanly and she's finding the boundaries, don't put all the pressure on yourself necessarily. Make sure you're giving them the opportunity to hit the bad ball or the good ball to the boundary. And that's where Mignon has also been really good. Then when she needs to up her scoring rate and put her foot on the accelerator, she's already sitting on 20 or 30, her eyes in, and she's feeling very comfortable. And then, yes, then she can sort of pull it out and sort of take a little bit more risk as such. But I think we must sometimes be careful in the women's game of trying to expect to have these, these ladies who can just bludgeon the ball and hit it as big as the guys. Whereas sometimes, their timing and their finesse is just as good and they're still coming away with the boundaries.
Yeah, fair point. That before we kind of wait on to hear more about the Indian team news, Boria, let's kind of talk about their strength so far, which has seemingly been their the batting, and that they are going to do the last thing, they're going to chase this game. So does that kind of allow the bowlers to bowl with more freedom, you think? Because we talk about batters expressing themselves when batting first, but here's a chance for the bowlers to do their thing and then kind of leave it on to their strong suit, in this case, their batting. So works well for them?
Not because of that particular reason. I mean, if your bowlers sort of decide that, okay, we are the weakling, then you are actually conceding ground. I don't think that's the case for any team. They should just come with full intensity and try and restrict South Africa to 130, 140. That's what the job should be about. You restrict them to 130, 140, go chase them down. I mean, you've got to come out hard, thinking I will set it up for my team, not come out thinking, oh, I am the weak link and the batswoman will come and rescue me. That can't be your approach. So I think India will have to sort of go really hard, give it their best, and try and win it. I mean, 3-0 looks horrible. I mean, when you think that they've never won a series and come and beat you 3-0, and then 2-1 looks very different. And you can say, oh, you know what? We could have won that last ball. Then people take that, okay, yes, last ball, India managed to win one. So I would expect real intensity from India tonight and a performance that all of us will be proud of.
Yeah, we are seemingly hearing that there's a debut for Ayushi Soni, the lower middle order batter, the finisher, as Harmanpreet Kaur had suggested that ahead of the T20 challenge last year. Richa Ghosh is likely to keep wickets. But Claire, coming to you, what remedies would you suggest looking at the bowling order that India had last time? Because seemingly it so seems that they lack a death bowling specialist, and Radha Yadav seems to have done that last time. There's Arundhati Reddy who struggled a bit. So your thoughts on that Indian bowling lineup and who is likely the death bowler, you think?
Yeah, from an Indian perspective, I think that sometimes that death bowling, it's about just trying to mix it up a little bit more. I mentioned, and I went back and actually looked at a little bit of footage from the South African bowlers, and you can see they're trying to bowl quite a lot of slow balls, but they're not only bowling the slow balls. And I was quite critical of Nadine de Klerk. And yes, she has been sort of quite expensive and she has gone for a lot of runs. But I did mention the fact that she did bowl a couple of very good bounces. Every single one of those bounces was a dot ball. So that for me is a big positive. And so all I'm trying to say, I'm trying to just build a slight comparison here and say that India needs to just look at their variation that they are trying to bowl. And are they not just bowling sort of a... Boria, do you want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. I saw a hand. I thought you wanted to put something in. So from an Indian bowling perspective, I would like to see them maybe just throw in a little bit more sort of variation, and especially perhaps Reddy. Just sort of mix it up a little bit. She's holding the seam attack together. She is the seam bowling, and yet she really is going for a lot of runs. So she kind of needs to look at that potentially. She doesn't quite have the same kind of pace as Shubnam Ismail, but even just putting in something slightly shorter. When the bats ladies are expecting it to be pitched up, anything that's slightly short, you're going to catch them by surprise. And that's what I just feel that they need to sort of focus on. Yadav, I think, was very, very, very good. Actually, she was fantastic. And she needs more support around her. So I think as a bowling unit, they need to say to each other, how can we build pressure on South Africa and how can we string some dot balls together? And that's what they seem like they just can't get going. There's always that one ball, and we often said it, or we would have heard it in the commentary sometimes, and then South Africa get a boundary off the first ball of the over, which automatically makes South Africa's life a lot easier. Or what you hear is it's been a tightish over with some ones and twos, and then the fifth ball or the sixth ball is a long hop, or it's too wide, and the South African bats ladies can really spring onto it and hit it for the boundary. So it almost always seems like there's that release shot with very low risk that the South African ladies can pull out. So that's what I think India need to focus on, is building pressure with better fielding will help a lot. Better fielding, restrict, make it really difficult for them to pick up the singles. Get a couple of dot balls together, build that pressure, and then you're almost going to have the South African bats ladies playing the irrational shot, and that's where you can pick up the wickets.
Yeah, better fielding will, of course, help India because they are fielding first, and one of the offenders of the previous match, Richa Ghosh, has been given the gloves indeed. So no Nusrat Parveen, Ayushi Soni comes in, a stronger batting lineup. But of course, if the batters are promoted up like we have been talking about, but not seeing Boria. Very unfair, a bit unfair probably on Nusrat, you think, because she's been that wicket keeper for 2 matches, misses out, and we haven't seen her bat yet. So Richa Ghosh, good call to hand her the glove, but a bit unfair on Nusrat, you think?
There are 2 ways to look at it. I mean, if you see the modern game, the wicket keeper is not simply a specialist wicket keeper. You have to contribute big time with the bat. And Richa Ghosh's innings last game and her fielding effort tells you that she would be much better off as wicketkeeper. And you can actually have an extra bowling option, which was so very necessary for India, because India was running short of bowlers. Radha and Rajeshwari were the two bowlers going well, and the others were getting hit. So I don't see that as a problem. It's always about the team, what balance the team needs. Yes, I mean, if you identify an individual and you will say, okay, maybe she could have gotten one more game. But you know what? I mean, from her standpoint also, Mignon came back quick, but you still could have got that. Okay, so, and maybe that's stumping. So there are these little things which change the course of a game. I don't have a problem with this change because we needed an extra bowling option, which we have. And I think Richa Ghosh is a good enough wicketkeeper. Jhulan was telling me she has trained as a wicketkeeper in the off-season, during lockdown, post-lockdown. And by the way, people who say they did not have access, all of them had access. Richa Ghosh, for example, apparently is in Calcutta because CAB has given her a flat and to her training facilities. So she has trained as a wicketkeeper in the off-season. So I don't have as a problem, this move.
Yeah, fair point there.
I just want to add as well is to Boria's comment is, when you've been training as a wicketkeeper now, and it must be something that the captain and the coach need to think about. And now you go and put a young lady on the boundary. It always makes life a lot harder for you as a traditional wicketkeeper. If you're in the infield, you're almost reacting to a ball as if you're a wicketkeeper. But when you're on the boundary, there's that extra amount of time that the ball has got to come to you. It doesn't come naturally to you to go back. If you want to go, the old traditional long barrier to collect it and throw it in and all that sort of thing. It's always best if you've got someone who is a secondary keeper in the team, or even a specialist keeper, but you've got two specialist keepers in your team, and the other keepers are really good batsmen, and they are not wicket keeping. Rather try and keep them close in, especially if they don't train and spend hours and hours of fielding in the fielding drill sort of section of things. Keep them close in because their reactions will help you and they don't get so much in their minds, and build them up. And you probably find that was a lot of the misfields and that sort of thing that happened, is there was too much thinking involved in the catch I had to take, or stopping the ball going down to the boundary. So I think it's a great move that Richa Ghosh has got the keeping gloves. And I hope she does well behind the stumps, because I think she's a fantastic youngster with bats in hand. So she could definitely help India in this game.
Yeah, I endorse the view. I think this is a very, very practical and a very positive move from India going forward. This should have, in fact, been done last game, because there's no reason why this wasn't done. But yes, I absolutely think this is a very, very good move.
Yeah, one of the reasons which I could think of is because Richa Ghosh was given the gloves for Trailblazers in the first two games, I think, or first game at least, and she wasn't too tidy, and Nusrat went on to replace her.
Yeah, but that's the point. Nah? I'm told that WV got in touch with her and specifically told her to train as a keeper, which is what she has done for Bengal, who had a camp, a pretty longish camp. So they were training with the Bengal team. So if you asked her to train, then put her there rather than putting her in the outfield. And you might have a muddled mind. So I think it's a good call.
Yeah, fair call that. Richa with the gloves, Ayushi Soni in the side. Remember, she plays for Delhi. Ayushi Soni is a good lower-hander batter, can strike them big. Lots to look forward to with respect to India's batting. But remember, India are bowling first. They won the toss and chosen to bowl. South Africa bats first. Boria, what's your prediction? Where are South Africa going with the batting in this final T20I, and who you think is the performer from this first half?
Reverse of fortunes. The men's team are up for it tonight. Despite 317, I predict an English win. People will come and hammer me for it. And I predict an Indian women's win. So it's a reversal of fortunes tonight. Let the girls win. The men have won. We would want both. But if we have to give 1 inch, I will concede the men and want the women to win tonight, which is what is happening.
Claire, what are South Africa going to post today?
I think South Africa are going to post around 150, and I don't think it's going to be quite enough. I think South Africa are going to struggle with one or two of the changes, and then hopefully they get to about 150, and then it's going to be really interesting to see how our new look bowling attack does against the Indians, who will now sort of back themselves chasing and doing what they probably want to do. on this pitch.
Right then, throughout the series, there have been mixed predictions, but Claire and South Africa have come up on the right side of things. Today, it's all say both of them are saying India to be favorites, India to win. But let's see what happens. Let's pick up this conversation in the mid-match show on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia.
Don't just live life, maxify it.